Welcome back to the Fat Boy Fantasy Football Podcast. Probably don't even know where I'm at this point. It's your boy. It's the Fat Boy himself, Victor, here with my friend Xavier. Say what
Hello,
up.
hello, hello.
I hope your weekend was better than mine. Uh, Seeing the absolute massacre that happened of the Broncos, and I thought I turned 70 this weekend because I received a bunch of 70 texts just to see that my team had gotten smashed while I was at the races. How was your weekend, sir?
It wasn't as bad as yours, but the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, so I mean it's probably half as bad, but I mean they still lost to a team that was projected to be like the bottom of the bottom. So I
First pick in
really,
the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
yeah, I really don't. Our teams are just trash cans. I don't know
Well,
what
at
to
least your
say.
team has won a game this year. We are playing the Bears this week to see who's the actual worst team in the league. And we're going to see how this goes. If there's ever a week to win, if there's ever a football god to pray to, I am praying to them this week because I don't want to go 0-4 and lose to the Bears. No one wants to lose to the Bears. But with all that being said, we'll kind of go over the recap of the games this week. Up first, we got Colts and Ravens. Surprising win by the Colts, being able to pull it out in overtime. Um, Lamar Jackson did the whole Lamar Jackson thing with 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on top of his 200 yards passing. Gardner Minshew did what he needed to do as a game manager. Zach Moss was the bell cow with 30 carries and a touchdown as well. What's your biggest takeaway from this game?
My biggest takeaway is that insert any running back here and they go pretty much for the
Mm-hmm.
Colts. I mean, other than when Deion Jackson fumbled, but he's not even on the team anymore.
Yeah, that man
So
got
this is
released.
Zach Moss's backfield for the next few games. The other guy had, I don't even know who that is, but he had five
Trey
carries.
Sermon.
Yeah, I mean, but I think when definitely whenever Anthony Richardson gets back, those targets and receptions are going to go down a little bit for Michael Pittman and Josh Downs. I think they're just doing really good based off that Gardner Minshew 44 pass attempts right there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I just think they were playing well, playing complementary football, I guess you can
oh
say,
yeah,
with the Colts actually putting the clamps onto the Ravens with 4 sacks and only allowing 17 points. That's a pretty good game, if I do say so myself. But up next, Browns Titans. Uh, Browns won 27-3. Deshaun Watson kind of looked a little bit like his old self. Nothing crazy. 289 passing and 2 touchdowns. Tannehill, as we all kind of expected, isn't a quarterback that you want to start anytime soon. If you're having to start him, I am praying for your sanity. But me personally, my biggest takeaway is the split that they're having with the backfield in Tennessee because Tyjae Spears saw 56% of the snaps. Uh, Derrick Henry only saw 38%. If you're a Derrick Henry owner, how much of a concern or panic do you have right now?
a lot of panic. He's not only old, but he's losing snaps to the younger guy, and
A
I
man with
mean,
no ACLs himself.
yeah, I mean, look at this. I mean, I'm looking at the box score right now. There's no production on the offensive side, no, like none whatsoever. Uh, three receptions for DeAndre Hopkins, two receptions for Chris Moore. I mean, like it's just bad all around offense.
And it's with that offense, the only way Derrick Henry is relevant is if the Titans are winning. Because I went and checked the previous stat percentages, and he only beat, sorry, Tyjae Spears in snaps, or outsnapped him, I should say, whenever they had beat the Chargers week 2. If it looks
Hmm.
like if they're leading, Derrick Henry's in. If they're losing, Tyjae Spears is in. And if they're
Pass it
losing and you
down.
drafted Derrick Henry in the first or second round, you're in much trouble because the Titans, I don't see them winning many games this year.
No.
Um, Big game from Mari Cooper though, 7 for 116 and a touchdown. Anything else you have to say about the Brown side?
Brown side, Elijah Moore, 9 receptions. I mean, not a lot of yardage, but if you're playing a PPR, you're taking a look at that. Um, keep track of Jerome Ford, that Jerome Ford work along with Kareem Hunt and Pierre Strong. That as of right now, that looks like a little bit of a three-back committee, but that Pierre Strong should go down a little bit when once Kareem Hunt gets acclimated to that offense.
Up and moving and all that
Yeah.
good stuff. Well, with that being said, we'll kind of go on to the next game then. Lions and Falcons. 20-6 victory through the Lions. Uh, I don't know about you, but the Lions defense, especially the run defense, is looking a little scary now. Does that bring you any kind of concern whenever you see the Lions pop up as a matchup for your running back?
Um, I think it really depends on what running back I have. Like if like if I had Damian Pierce and he was going against the Lions, I would be a little scared. Um,
I
but
guess what's the tier then that you don't have a concern? Is it like probably a top 10 running back, I guess you could
yeah,
say? Your
yeah,
CMCs, your
yeah,
Ecklers, maybe your Kenneth Walkers.
yeah. Because okay, Kenneth Walker had 2 touchdowns last week against the Lions. So, I mean, I think Kenneth Walker is where you can draw the line. Uh, I mean, who else? I mean,
I say basically a
yeah,
mid to high end RB1 is where I mean they're basically matchup proof in most cases, but of course you're
yeah,
gonna have those letdown games for sure.
yeah. I think this was one of those letdown games, especially for Bijan Robinson. Um, I mean, if you're playing in PPR, he still got you, what is that, 10,
10
11?
points.
So, I mean, I'm not too mad at, I'm like, okay, he got me 10 points. It's not a freaking donut, so I'm not mad. What I'm mad about is Drake London and Kyle Pitts. That's what I'm mad about. So,
I mean, Kyle Pitts had a better game than he has been having. He basically shot a little over par for the course this past week. He actually beat his projection by a couple points, but that's not saying much. I mean, given he wasn't drafted like in the third round like he was last year,
yeah,
but being a fan and seeing how he's not being utilized, as well as Jonnu Smith getting just as many targets, and we know Jonnu Smith is probably not as gifted as Kyle Pitts is. Just
yeah, just
my little
probably not. Probably
armchair GM here.
not.
I feel like Kyle Pitts would do great, like in a Travis Kelce role, but we're not going to see that within this offense. Me personally, I'm going to be out on him until he leaves the Falcons. He's getting pretty close to that droppable tier where he could almost start streaming Kyle Pitts now at this point. But
This is like a buy low opportunity in Dynasty if you're a rebuilding team.
that's understandable. I can see that. But anything else you have to say about the Falcons or the Lions?
Sam Laporta, top 3 dynasty tight end,
Question
five,
mark.
top 5 redraft tight end. That's
I mean, hey, he dropped 26 this past week, had a touchdown. If you're
wild.
playing with the tight end premiums like a lot of dynasties do, he actually ended up with 26 points.
Wow.
Um, it'd be cray cray in these streets now.
It do be.
And he was the one that people weren't going to say he's going to do much yet. But look at him now, growing up on us already. But up next, we got the Saints and Packers. If you had relied on Derek Carr, you're going to be without him for probably at least a week, maybe two, with his AC sprain in his shoulder. But what was your big thing from this game? What's your one big thing? Seemed like a
Mm,
pretty boring game for the most part, but
it was a pretty boring game. It was a lot of field goals being scored, but um, I did I did see Jimmy Graham catch a touchdown. I was really surprised. But another thing was, I really thought that Kendra Miller was going to go in there and do a lot more. I mean, he did have the most carries. I guess they try to give him the most opportunity, but the Packers defense is pretty good. It's not a bad defense. No push or when push
they're not
comes to shove,
pushovers.
yeah, push comes to shove, they're not pushovers as well. But um, I don't know. I still have a little faith in Kendra Miller. Even when Alvin Kamara comes back, maybe he can be the Jamal Williams role then next week, week after. But you do see let's see, what was I looking at?
Romeo Dobbs had 12 targets this week.
Yeah,
Given we'll
wow.
see how his usage changes whenever Christian Watson comes back.
That just put a smile on my face. I like that.
Yeah, he had 12 targets, 73 yards, 5 receptions, and a touchdown. So he balled a little bit. Didn't really put anybody on notice, but if you did have to spot start Romeo Dobbs this week, definitely did pay off.
Big W.
And outside of that, Jordan Love keeps scoring 20 points. If he's somehow still on your waivers, I would pick him up as a good backup quarterback, if not a
Oh
starting
yeah.
quarterback at this point. I wouldn't trade Jalen Hurts away for him though, but
Man.
that's a whole different story there. But up next, Texans and Jaguars. Uh, are we panicking about the Jaguars? Because they just
um,
got beat by 20 by the Texans, who are also supposed to be in this Caleb Williams sweepstakes, even though they traded away their pick last year.
I don't think I panicked, to be honest. I mean, if you just look at that offense, and I know they weren't really that good this past game, but there's no way you can really say they're done or like they're I mean, yeah, they're not doing good, but you can't sit here and tell me like and I know you're not, but nobody can sit here and tell me like they're going to be bad this whole year, but I mean, maybe it was just the defense. I didn't really see the game all that much, but let me see. They had no
The
sacks.
defense had
Wow.
one interception, no sacks, and then a field goal block. So
Yeah.
nothing crazy from the Texans defense. Trevor Lawrence still went 27 for 40, so he still had right about a 64% completion percentage, if I'm doing the math right in my head. Yeah, it's not looking great for the Jaguars, not being able to score on the Chiefs last week, given it was the Chris Jones we back game. But
Yeah.
CJ Stroud is looking like a pretty solid rookie at this point.
Oh
Went 20 for
yeah.
30 for 280, 2 touchdowns, as well as a couple of carries. Damian Pierce had a touchdown, but pretty inefficient with his carries, only 31 yards on 14 carries. And then Tank Dell. Are
That's a
you all in
waiver
on Tank
wire.
Dell?
Waiver wire pickup. Waiver wire, waiver wire. I
I mean,
picked
if you
him up
don't know, now you know.
last week actually in a redraft league. I picked him up and this week he went out and did 145 yards and I was like, well, I didn't start him, but at least he's on the team.
Well, there's someone else we're going to be talking about that every owner in America is kicking themselves for either A, not having on their team, or B, not starting them. It hurts me to say this. The Dolphins destroyed my Broncos, breaking my heart, as we mentioned. 70-20. If you were Mike McDaniel, they're at the end of the game. Do you kick the field goal? That's my biggest
Uh,
question for you.
I think honestly, I don't. I don't
You're a
see a
simp.
point. I don't see a point
Break the
in putting
record.
I mean, I just don't see a point in
Put a nail in the coffin.
potentially hurting your players during a play that everyone's gonna be playing full force at because the
It's a
Broncos are gonna
field
be
goal.
embarrassed. I mean, but still, I'm
It's
just
a
that type of
field goal.
person.
There's no starters playing on the field goal unit, but
Kicker can get his leg broken. You watch.
both the running backs for the Dolphins both at least put up 45 points. Mostert 13
Jeez.
for 82, 3 touchdowns, 7 receptions, 60 yards, and another touchdown. Devon A. Chain, or sorry, Devon A. Chan is actually how you pronounce his name, according to some recent articles that came out. It's like, hey, can y'all stop mispronouncing my name? It's A. Chan. So Devon A. Chan had 18 carries, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, as well as 4 receptions for 30 yards and another 2 touchdowns.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was a massacre, and it was not pleasant to hear about. It was not pleasant to watch. I thought it was bad. Never. It was 35-13 at halftime. Then I turn it on while I'm at the races and see Mike White throwing a bomb to Robbie Chosen Anderson, or however he said his name now,
Yeah, whatever name he has now.
where he burned PS2 for 70 yards for a touchdown in the fourth quarter after they pulled out all the starters and they're still scoring points on us. It's not a pretty thing to see whatsoever. The only benefit for the Broncos defense is they got a kick six or a punt return for a touchdown. But if you are you starting any Broncos players at this point? Because Cortland Sutton still had a decent game, 8 for 91 and a touchdown. Uh, Russell Wilson really didn't do a whole lot. None of the running backs really did anything either. Are the Dolphins Super Bowl contenders, or are the Broncos really just that bad, or is it a little bit of both?
I think it is a little bit of both. I definitely the Dolphins are Super Bowl contenders. They did all that without Jalen Waddle. So, I mean, just imagine they get Jalen Waddle back next week. And then on the other side, the Broncos, they don't have a bad offense. Like, you look at the running back, you're like, okay, it's a good running back. He's pretty good. You look at the wide receiver core, you're like, okay, that's actually pretty good. But something needs to click and something needs to click soon. Something needs to happen.
We are
So,
giving away too many first round picks for them to end up being in the top 10.
yeah.
But next game, so I could get over my despair. Chargers and Vikings. If you are a Vikings fan, are you panicking with them being 0-3? The offense is rolling, but the defense just can't seem to put it together.
I think if you're a fantasy manager, no. But if you are, if you're just a fan, you're just a Vikings fan, you're like kind of panicking. Yeah, I would be.
Is there any kind of buy low, sell high candidates that you see in this? Oh, another thing. If you have Mostert or Chan, try to sell them.
Yes,
Sell them immediately.
sell immediately. I'm
There
trying to
is
sell
never
them.
a higher value. You might even be able to trade Mostert for a straight up RB1 at this point.
Yeah.
You will be able to find some scrub out there, trade him for an RB1 right now. Anyways, back to this Vikings and Chargers game. Madison finally looked like he could play. I don't know if he needed some fire in his butt with Cam Akers getting traded over there. Given Cam Akers was a healthy scratch for this week because he is still learning the playbook and all that. Would you try to sell Madison at this point?
I'm sorry, say it again.
So would you try to sell Madison after this big performance?
Yeah,
93 yards and 5 receptions for 32 yards as well.
I'm actually actively trying to sell Madison right now. I'm in trade talks. I am trying to sell him because even if there's like a chance that he's going to get a 50-50 split with Cam Akers, that just brings his
Ceiling and floor down.
yeah, it just brings it down. So, and he wasn't doing good anyways before this. So, I mean,
And we know the Chargers aren't the best run team or run defense. They're severely missing a running back because Josh Kelly is not getting it done at this point. Uh, Austin Eckler, I know you are a big fantasy football fan. Um, the city needs you at this point. Your
City
teams
needs.
need you. Keenan Allen put up a monster game, 18 receptions, 200 yards, as well as a passing touchdown.
Jeez.
Mike Williams had a great game before he tore his ACL. Sorry to break the news, but he's out for the season. Um, if given they're probably not on waivers, but if they're both on waivers, who are you taking, Josh Palmer or Quentin Johnson for the rest of the year?
I think Josh Palmer. I think I'd go Josh Palmer.
For Dynasty, would you try to sell Quentin Johnson at this point? Because I don't feel like you're getting the return on investment at this point. He was a mid first round pick this past year, mid to late first, I guess you could say. I
I would,
don't think you're really getting that for him, so I would probably hold on to him. But how about you?
yeah, I was gonna say, I think you hold on a little more, maybe wait a little bit until he has a breakout. Maybe even like a game where he just grabs a touchdown and he scores barely 15 points. And then you trade Quentin Johnson in a second to go get someone. If you could go grab Jordan Addison, maybe
Get you a
maybe
more
that would
bona
do it.
fide wide receiver too.
Yeah, yeah, I would go do that. But I
I mean,
mean,
at this point, if you make a trade with the owner, you might even be able to get Johnston as a possible add-on.
yeah,
Just be like,
yeah,
hey, if you're throwing QJ, I'll take the trade.
yeah.
But Kirk Cousins keeps dominating. Kind of wild to see. He's the number one quarterback in fantasy football right now. Can he sustain this? Because I think he's throwing this ball like 50 times a game. Well, 33, 31, or sorry, 44, 44, and 50 the last three games is his attempts.
Can he sustain it? I think he can sustain it, but is it doable? Probably, maybe. I don't know. He just has really good receiving core.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as he's not throwing interceptions, as long as he's not turning the ball over, it's fine. He can do whatever he wants. If the offense is designed that way, and if the wide receivers and the tight end is doing that good, then I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, everyone was, or they were coming out saying we're going to be more pass happy this year, but I don't think anyone expected this kind of air raid offense almost.
Yeah.
But going into next week, we have the New England Ghost. That's what Zach Wilson was seeing the entire game. Against the Jets, the Patriots did win 15-10. Uh, any chance the Jets have a chance to make a deep run? So
Not
everyone was saying
unless
Super Bowl or bust at this point, but
not unless they grab a quarterback for some
hey,
reason.
they picked up Trevor Simeon fresh off the free agency.
I saw that.
Is Trevor Simeon the answer?
Go trade for Kirk Cousins and see what happens. I don't know.
um, no kind of offense in this game. The highest scoring running back was actually a fullback for the Jets, at least. No running back scored more than 10. And even then, Ezekiel Elliott had 9.7, Ramondre had 7.2. No kind of offense to be found unless you had somehow started Paris Brown for the Patriots, who scored a 71-yard touchdown as a tight end. Or sorry, not Paris Brown, Pharaoh Brown. Paris
Pharaoh
Brown's the
Brown. It
tackle.
was a good grab too. I saw that.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy that a big man's taking it to the house. Show us up. Show the big man some love. But I don't got nothing else to say about this game. How about you? Because it's not really much to say about it.
Garrett Wilson is mad. He is
The
mad.
entire offense is mad.
Yeah, Brees
Michael
Hall
Carter
is
almost got in a
mad.
fight with the coach.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson is getting in a fight. Brees Hall is tweeting, "Give me more than 4 touches and we'll win the game," and he got 12 and only had basically a 1.5 yards per attempt. If you have any kind of Jets players, it might be too late to sell, but you might need
Trade
to,
trade a Jets player and a piece and go get someone else in a good offense.
yeah, because the Jets aren't it.
Yeah.
Up next, we have the Bills and Commanders. It was a domination one way, not the other. Bills won 37-3. Uh, you got anything to say about this game?
Antonio Gibson is done. It's over. Get out.
Get out. Yeah, it's a pretty sad sight. He was the running back that I was targeting and more than Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's just pretty one-sided with this game. Nothing really much. The Bills defense went country on you there for a second. Yeehaw there, Bucker. Buffalo, 4 picks, 9 sacks, just absolute domination of Sam Howell. Personally, I'm not really panicking about Sam Howell. It's you're gonna have these growing pains as a quarterback. Given you probably weren't starting him in most situations. But with the Commanders and how their offenses looked, is there a little bit of can you really start anybody maybe outside of Scary Terry or Brian Robinson.
I mean, not really. I mean, before this week, you could have started Logan Thomas. He was like a top. He's a top, I think, 6 or 7 tight end, but he was, or was he
Well,
injured
it's just
this
because he
week?
fell into the end zone a couple of times, and then
Yeah,
the
but
Broncos decided to, take his helmet off. So
other than that, on redraft especially, you only want to start Brian Robinson and Terry McLaurin, and then in deep leagues, start 11, 12. You're still gonna start Jahan Dotson unless you have obviously someone better. But
unless you have the depth of like 6 wide receivers to start over
yeah,
him.
you have to start Jahan Dotson and just hope he gets the ball rolling like he did at the end of last year.
Yeah, then James Cook is still doing the James Cook thing.
Yeah.
Uh, if you did draft him in redraft leagues, you're very happy with it. I have a team that's absolutely dominating, and my running backs were this week were James Cook and Raheem Mostert. So definitely had some
Mhm.
destruction in my league, and was also the first team to put up 200 points so far. So we've
Nice.
been running this league for 3 years. So
Yep.
shout out my Roadhouse rejects. Sorry for the ass whooping this week.
It wasn't
Up
against me.
up next, Carolina and Seahawks. Carolina's 0-3. Not like we expected them to do much of anything else. Seattle, Kenneth Walker had a monster game with the 2 touchdowns, as well as 153 all-purpose yards. Uh, if you have Zach Charbonnet, are you worried? Because he's not really getting much play at all,
No,
or at
but his
least
snap share is going up. I saw something that was like it went from like 41% 2 weeks ago. Now it's like 47 or something like that. It's going up slowly but surely.
24, 26, and then now 43 this past
Yeah,
week.
I don't remember, something like that, but it's going up. So I think if anything, you hold, um, and you see what happens. Because
I mean,
if
in
it,
most situations, you don't even have him on your team in a redraft, like 10 to 12 man league.
yeah, yeah.
That's more of the dynasty side. Miles Sanders is still getting a lot of the volume, 18 opportunities. He had 9 targets as well as 9 carries. He also fell into the end zone. Big surprise this week was Adam Thielen putting up a 30 burger. He had 11 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown. Uh, are you trying to get any of these players in this game? The only person I can really think about is DK Metcalf. Is someone that I would actively be trying to possibly get. But
Uh,
would you potentially try to reach out and see what they've owners want for Thielen? Given this would be a terrible week to try to reach out for him.
no, I
But
don't care.
he's back-to-back weeks to touchdown, at least 9 receptions the past 2 weeks as well. Given it is Andy Dalton under center and not what's his face, Bryce Young.
No, I
But
wouldn't do it.
all right, now it's time for your heartbreak. The Super Bowl bound Cowboys lost to the trash bowl bound Cardinals 28-16. The Cardinals defense looked like an actual defense, which was the biggest surprise to me personally. 2 sacks as well as that late pick that Dak Prescott threw. Um, anything that you have to say about this game?
Uh, I don't want. I don't. I don't know. Don't know.
Actually, I felt with the Broncos game. Tony Pollard still showed out, 23 carries, 122 yards, as well as 3 receptions. Rico Dowdle was actually the running back that fell into the end zone this week. Um, Michael Gallup had a decent game. CD Lamb, almost a ghost, only had 4 receptions for 50 yards. Hollywood Brown had a touchdown. Rondale Moore had a long touchdown. And James Conner, someone that we had talked about earlier in the season being a zero RB pickup, is RB9 on the season. So he is paying off so far.
Yep.
So we will see how that story continues on. But he's a solid running back that we've been seeing play like this for 5, 6 years now. At this point, with him, whenever he was playing with the Steelers. and he's a bell cow running back. It's what you want.
Yep.
But
With him, it's like a one year he's on, 1 year he's off, 1 year he's on, 1 year he's off. This is an on year.
I mean, last year was on year too, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Let's
I
look
mean,
up
like
history
injuries.
on him. But he missed 4 games last year, then 2 years or 2 games the year before last. So we haven't hit the injury woes just yet. But up next, we have another beatdown. The afternoon games were miserable to watch as the Taylor Swift Chiefs beat the Chicago Bears. I don't know if you heard, but apparently Taylor Swift is a Travis Kelsey fan.
Oh,
Um, I've only seen a post here and there on social media. I don't know about you, but the Chiefs dominated as expected.
oh
Justin
yeah.
Fields falling out like he wanted to. He said he didn't want to listen to the coaches no more. I'm gonna play like I want to play, and threw a massive 99 yards and a touchdown, and as well as 11 carries for 47 yards. Patrick Mahomes did the Patrick Mahomes thing, scored 3 touchdowns, 270 in the air. Jarek McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Clyde all scored a touchdown. So if you started any of the three, you were decent. You felt good about it. Um, Only relevant player from the Bears was DJ Moore, 3 for 6, 41 yards and a touchdown himself. Travis Kelsey scored 23 points, 7 receptions, 70 yards and a touchdown. Anything you got to say about this game? Because it was a bloodbath from the word go.
I mean, even if Justin Fields were to have a good game, it's not like you were expecting any win from the Bears anyway. So
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like if you're a Justin Fields owner, you're expecting that same Justin Fields from last year, where you just saw him go for 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground and
yeah,
maybe like 150 in the air. Maybe throws a touchdown, maybe throws a couple of picks, but you were more looking at his rushing upside, and that rushing upside hasn't been here. He's QB 18 on the season. I'm pretty sure at this point, if he drafted him high. Uh, what would it take for you to either A, drop him, or B, trade him?
trade him away. Wow. Honestly, I think I'm sticking with it. I'm hard headed on Justin Fields right now, so he was like my biggest buy in the offseason. So I'm
Dug it
just gonna
out.
have to stick with it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's rough, especially after the season he had last year. If you did buy him, especially in dynasty leagues, it was costing you at least 2 first-round picks, if not more than that, just because how expensive QBs are, especially in super flex leagues.
Yeah.
Um, he wasn't cheap to get. I could tell you that.
Nope.
Steelers and Raiders, kind of a sloppy game. Steelers ended up winning 23-18. I was watching this game at a bar, and it wasn't fun to watch. I will say that. I mean, it
Yeah.
was fun watching Devontae Adams jump over everybody and score touchdowns, but whenever the Steelers had the ball, it was just real. It just looked muddy almost, even though they're playing in a stadium. I guess this looks sluggish. Is there any concern you have for the Steelers' offense without Deontay Johnson?
Uh, Najee Harris is losing work to Jalen Warren. I mean, this week is better than the others, but you still have to keep an
I
eye
mean, he
on
only had a
that.
50% snap share this week. Najee Harris did, and Jalen Warren was at 45% himself.
Yeah.
So it's basically a 50-50 split. Najee Harris is another one of those players that you drafted high this year, probably around second to third round range. I might have fell to the fourth or fifth in some leagues just because they saw what was happening last year with the Liz Frank injury at the beginning of the year. Uh, Josh Jacobs off to another slow start, 17 carries for 62 yards. It could be last season slowing him down, or it could just be that this offense is terrible and he just had a lot of good breaks last year with star players getting hurt, much like Renfro and Darren Waller being hurt most of the year. But any other kind of concerns you have for the Raiders or the Steelers team?
Josh Jacobs is going to be facing a lot of 8-man fronts, so be scared.
Yeah, until Jimmy G or a quarterback can come out and toast somebody for, 500 yards.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. We still ended up at 324, given 172 and ended up going into Devontae Adams' back pocket, as well as other 85 going to Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers might be a sneaky person to trade for at this point.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. He's looking pretty good.
Week one, he scored almost 30 points against Denver, which apparently everybody's scoring 30 points against Denver now at this point. He had 9 receptions for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns week one. Then this past week, 7 receptions for 85 yards and at least 10 targets in both games. So he is a sneaky candidate to go try and buy right now.
Oh yeah.
Uh, one of the last games we have, Eagles Buccaneers. Uh, if the Eagles get to the 1 yard line, go ahead and mark it up as a QB sneak.
Yeah.
Another QB sneak touchdown from Jalen Hurts. Baker Mayfield couldn't get it done this week, going up against a actual defense. Played up against Minnesota and Chicago, and it was fun to think that Baker Mayfield could get it done against a good team. And unfortunately, he played one, and we kind of saw what happened. 15 for 25 for 150, basically a touchdown and a pick. This entire offense just looked miserable the entire game, except for that late touchdown to Mike Evans helped out some managers. I'm selling Mike Evans if I have any shares of him at this point.
Yeah, I already sold him.
Said already he gone.
I sold him last week for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. Then of course with the Eagles wide receiver core, I don't know who's gonna pop off. This week it was AJ Brown for 9 receptions for 130 yards. Dallas Goedert still got about 12 points, so he was an early tight end pick. Still a tight end 27 on the year, which doesn't really sound right. I need to go double check that stat real quick. But any other things you have about this game? It seemed kind of basically a straightforward game, everything that we kind of expected. Either AJ Brown or Devontae Adams is going to pop off. Mike Evans is going to get his 5 receptions. Chris Godwin is surprised. He's one I thought that was going to be the bigger receiver to have in this offense, but that has not been the case so far.
Yeah, it hasn't. I also thought Sean Tucker was going to get a little more work, but it didn't really matter. Rashad White wasn't doing anything with the ball anyway.
Yeah, 2.5 yards a carry, as well as 3 receptions for 24 yards for Rashad White. And then lastly, the Bengals finally getting the win column, 19-16 over the Rams. Puka Nacua finally came back down to earth. He's confirmed he is not an alien. Um, but with that being said, Joe Burrow still didn't have a great game. Didn't throw a touchdown this week. He's only got 2 on the year as well as 2 picks. Any concern for Joe Burrow owners?
Uh, yeah, I say so, especially in redraft. Um, definitely keep an eye on that. If Jordan Love is on waivers, you get him. If CJ Stroud is on waivers, you get him. That's the only thing I got.
Yeah, because last year, given the Bengals also started 0-3, he was QB9, QB16, and QB5 to start out the year. And then this year, he has been QB31, QB21, and QB26. So that's not what you're looking for within your. He's like going what in the fifth, sixth round this year.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, he was up there. So if you're getting that kind of production of your starting quarterback, it's probably making you an 0-3 team yourself. Matt Stafford still feeding his people. Tutu Atwell had a great game this week, 22 yards rushing as well as a touchdown,
That should have been
and
a touchdown. That
should have
though
had two
that
touchdowns
yeah, that's what I mean. The rush should have been a touchdown. His toes were in, his heel didn't hit out of bounds, and that is why I lost my fantasy game.
because of Tutu Atwell.
No, because freaking Mike Evans wanted to
Darn
go
those
off.
referees. And then if you had Evan McPherson, your team was looking great because even a kicker is getting 20 points out here in these streets. So that's about it for our recap of the games. Do you have any other kind of tidbits or information for us? Any other teams or players that you're concerned about that we really didn't cover yet?
Um, Not really. Oh, wait,
Oh,
did we go over the 49ers Giants game?
we did not go over the 49ers and Giants game.
Okay.
49ers and Giants, as expected, 49ers smashed. Saquon was missed. Matt Breida
A
did a
lot.
decent job. He still scored a touchdown. Combined, the Giants running backs only had 8 carries as well as 5 receptions on 6 targets. You're basically banking on a Matt Breida touchdown if you do pick him up. Debo Samuel was the receiver to go off this week, given there was no Ayuk. And Brock Purdy still scores 2 touchdowns every week somehow. Doesn't know how he does it, but he does it, except for last week, actually. It was actually the first week he didn't score 2 touchdowns. Did not know that. But any concern over Giants players while Saquon is out? Is it given this is an actual good defense? Next week, the Giants play the Seahawks. Probably going to be a big game for Daniel Jones if there is a chance to have a big game. Any other kind of comments you have on this?
I mean, you see Darren Waller should be the main receiver out there, but he's only got 3 receptions. I mean, he does have 7 targets, but I would just try to force feed him at this point. He basically just got a bunch of guys on that team. And I do like Wandale Robinson, Paris Campbell, and Darius Slayton, but at this point they're just names.
You have a monopoly of slot receivers on this team,
Pretty much.
and none of them are doing good. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey still does the Christian McCaffrey thing where he scores you 20 points somehow. This time it was 85 yards rushing, 5 receptions, and a touchdown as well. So, if you have nothing else to add on to any of these Thursday, Sunday, or Monday games, I guess we'll go ahead and go into our start, sit, stud, and bust segment.
Yep.
Who is your start of the week?
All right. Let's see. Sorry, I have some notes here. All right, my start of the week. If he plays, Christian Watson. Okay.
Ooh,
I know it's
fresh off the
hard.
hammy.
Yeah, yeah. I know people say never start someone fresh off a hamstring injury, but I mean, we haven't seen him play at all this year. And Jordan Love has been throwing the rock around. He's been slinging that thing. Um,
Slanging it.
last year, the Lions had the 5th most points scored against them for fantasy wide receivers. So, I mean, could this be his coming out, his debut game? I think so. I mean, it's just a start. I didn't want to pick someone too, obvious or anything. So I'm just gonna
Start
go.
Tyreek Hill this week.
Yeah, right. Start Christian Watson.
All right. My start of the week is actually he's someone that we kind of talked about briefly. CJ Stroud against the Steelers. I know the Steelers have a scary pass rush, but for some reason, there's this little voice inside my head that is believing that CJ Stroud is the real deal. Um, he's completing highly efficient on his passes. Even against the Baltimore defense, he still went 28 for 44, just over about 60%. That's not bad for some rookie numbers. But I believe he will get it done one way or another, and he'll probably end up getting you 16, 17 points. He's on that QB tier where he's probably streaming QB, and that's probably the QB that I would like to stream this week if I am playing that strategy. I'll go ahead and go for my sit. Is actually from the Packers as well, who is actually also dealing with a hamstring injury, which is Aaron Jones. Um, Given if he plays, I still might be out on him this week. The Detroit has shown that they have a pretty good run defense this year. A lot of ball hawking players. Jack Campbell is actually playing pretty well in that defense. Um, they shut Bijan down pretty effectively, and I just don't see Aaron Jones getting it done this week. What about you, X? Who's your sit of the week?
My sit of the week will be Darren Waller. Um,
You just hyped him up.
I know, but I'm sorry. That's my sit. Let's see. Going against the Seahawks. last year the Seahawks had the second best defense to tight ends. So I mean, if there's any game that Darren Waller can prove me wrong, it will be this one. Okay, but still my sit.
So if he gets you 5 receptions, a touchdown, and 60 yards, you'd be very content with that, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you're good. You're like, okay, I would be like, yeah, I was wrong. Okay, fine, I was wrong.
My bad. My bad. Who is your stud of the week this week?
My
Who
stud of
is
the
a
week,
player that you are smashing in every DFS lineup and stuff like that?
every single one, and it's obvious. Christian McCaffrey, but I'll go a step further. I'll go Elijah Mitchell as well. Um, Going against the Cardinals, even if that's why I say I'd go with Elijah Mitchell as well, because even if they do get in front a lot, then Christian McCaffrey's not going to see the field. So then just throw Elijah Mitchell in there. Um, but there's no further. You don't need to explain anymore than they're going against the Cardinals. So
I mean, hey, the Cardinals were putting up a fight against the Cowboys, just saying.
yeah, but
We're not, he said, we don't talk about that over here. Um, my prediction for the stud of the week is I think this is the week where Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase get it all together into one. I could see this being the breakout game of the season for Jamar Chase. Uh, the Titans defense is miserable against the pass,
yep.
but their run defense is probably one of the top 5 run defenses in the league. Um, Outside of that, if you want someone on a lower tier, I would probably go with Devonta Smith playing against the Commanders. I feel like the corners match up better with AJ Brown, and Devonta Smith will be, I feel like, running wild in that mid range. And I just don't see the Commanders being able to keep up with him. And then, last but not least, my bust of the week, which is why I'm telling everybody to sell high on these players, is the entire Miami backfield against the Buffalo Bills.
Hmm.
Um, Bills are just really good against running backs. They have linebackers that are fast. They get to the ball. If the Miami's going to win this week, it's going to be in the air with Tua and Tyreek and potentially Jalen Waddle, depending on his concussion situation. But I just think this is going to be a big letdown game where everyone's going to start A Chan, and everyone's going to start Mostert because they think Mostert means must start. But this is the week that if there was going to be a letdown game, I believe it's going to be this one. Especially with them coming off scoring 70 points, that offense is going to be maybe a little bit too cocky and then get punched in the mouth, and we'll kind of see how they rebound. But but how about you? What is your bust of the week?
My bust will be Dallas Goddard.
Two
You're gonna
tight
be,
ends in your list.
oh yeah, you're gonna be going against the Commanders. But like you said, I see Devonta Smith getting more work. Um, the Commanders also had the best defense against tight ends last year. So I mean, I'm just going based off that really. So
Hmm.
I have nothing else to add to that.
I feel it. I understand. Is there anything else you'd like to add on today?
Um, Sell high on Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert.
Chan.
Achan, pick up, pick up C.J. Stroud, pick up
Tank
Jordan
Dell,
Love, pick up Tank Dell, pick up Devon Achan and sell him high.
and sell him high.
Um, I sold. I mean, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I traded away Saquon Barkley and Jerome Ford for Jameer Gibbs in a league where isn't that the league where it's like a little you get a little more for running backs?
Yeah, it's a running back premium for
Yeah.
receptions.
So I mean, I thought it was good, especially I pressed accept on the trade right when I saw Saquon Barkley was already injured, but I didn't know the extent of it. But it said high ankle. I pressed accept right away, right when it came out. It said Saquon Barkley high ankle. I said boop, accept.
Said nope, nope, not dealing with it. Nope.
Yep, it was sitting in my inbox for a day too. I was letting it marinate, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I hope Saquon Barkley comes back healthy, but
Yeah,
you never know, especially with running backs. And I know he wants to get back and play anyway, so he'll probably come back and do
re-injure
fine.
himself. I mean, he's gonna come back too soon, in my opinion. I know you want a ball.
Yeah, yeah,
You're on a
yeah,
contract year, but
yep. I think that's what's gonna happen too, to be honest.
but
Did you make any
that's all
trades
from
this week?
us, huh?
Did you make any trades this week?
No, but I'm trying to sell high on Achan and Mostert in every single one of my leagues. I have a couple of trades going out where I'm probably reaching way too high, but you
Yeah,
start high and then come back down.
yep.
So
That's the plan.
we will see how my trades go. I will keep y'all updated if any trades that are crazy with these players happen in any of my leagues. But with all that being said, uh, that's the end of the episode. We appreciate y'all for listening in. Like, comment, subscribe, just like every other YouTuber says. And we will see y'all next week. Happy early birthday to my friend Xavier, too, by the way.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
He's turning 21, so everyone buy him a shot.
Yeah, 21.
But hope y'all have a great day. Let's make it happen.